The 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center in New York and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. were the worst tragedy in the history of terrorism, spurring unprecedented outrage and solidarity among the world's civilized nations. From the Pandora's box of radical Islam had emerged a wave of Islamic terrorism aimed at so-called infidels.
وإذا كانت اليوم هي عاصمة الكاثوليك وعما قريب إن شاء الله ستفتح روما كما فتحت القسطنطينية ستكون عاصمتهم نقطة متقدمة للفتوحات الإسلامية التي تنساح في أوروبا كلها ثم تلتفت إلى الأمريكتين بل إلى أوروبا الشرقية.
Faced with the severity of the new threat, the targeted countries forged an alliance for self-defense and national security, and an international war on terrorism was launched. While Al-Qaeda claimed undisputed celebrity status for the 9/11 attacks, it is only one member of a much larger family of radical Islamic organizations. Among them is Hamas. While less familiar to the world beyond the context of its conflict with Israel, Hamas is an integral part of the Islamic terrorism network and one of the cornerstones of the terrorist triad that also includes Hezbollah and Iran. Hamas has a long heritage of terrorist activity and is recognized as one of the world's most extreme, dangerous organizations. In the organizational pyramid of terror made up by these three groups, Iran sits at the top, serving as the ideological leader for its two proxy armies, conveniently positioned along Israel's borders. As the ideological mentor of both Hamas in the Palestinian territories and Hezbollah in Lebanon, Iran provides them with indoctrination, training, financing, weapons, and intelligence. Hezbollah and Hamas leaders are frequent and welcome visitors to Tehran, where Iran's religious mullahs set the ideological tone. A tone which is translated into uncompromising terrorist policies to be applied in their respective theaters of operation.
دورات بغيت لبنان مش دورات عملت مناورة. عملت مناورة بغيت مناورة. امتى كانت أول مناورة؟ آخر 2003. وين عملتها؟ بإيران.
In a recent interview with Britain's Sunday Times newspaper, a Hamas operative revealed the depth of Iran's role as mentor to the terrorist organization, stating, "Iran is our mother. She gives us information, military supplies, and financial support." The Hamas combatant described in great detail the clandestine process of training, which begins with trainees illicitly crossing into Egypt, where they board flights to Damascus and then travel on to Tehran. There, in highly secured military encampments, they begin a rigorous 6-month training regime under the close supervision of Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards. They learn and perfect their skills in weapons operation, tunnel evacuation, booby trapping, sniper fire, advanced guerrilla tactics, and explosives and rocket manufacturing, like this homemade IED nicknamed Shawaz, which incorporates advanced technological know-how imported from Iran.
They also remain a country that is the primary funder for Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Look at any problem in the Middle East, Iran is funding insurrections.
Iran invests large sums of money in the dissemination of radical ideology, the manufacture and smuggling of weapons, and the provision of financial incentives to terrorists.
It is very clear that Hamas is being armed, and it's very clear that they're being armed in part by the Iranians.
Perhaps the most incriminating evidence of direct Iranian arms transfers to terrorist organizations was the interception of the ship Karine A in January 2002. The ship was carrying a cargo of $15 million worth of advanced weaponry to the Gaza Strip. Apart from its ideological objectives, Iran fosters the militant, subversive activities of its terrorist partners in order to divert international attention from its own illicit development program for nuclear weapons. Iran continues to supply enormous amounts of indigenously made weapons to Hamas by land and by sea. The 122mm Grad rockets that rained down upon the cities of southern Israel during the recent round of hostilities, as well as various types of mortar shells, RPGs, and assault weapons, were manufactured in Iran and smuggled into the Gaza Strip through tunnels running beneath its border with Egypt in the Sinai Peninsula. The possibility of Hamas and Hezbollah operating under a future Iranian nuclear umbrella introduces unfathomable challenges and implications to an already foreboding environment.
رسالتي إلى اليهود الحاقدين فوالله الذي لا إله إلا هو سنلاحقكم في كل مكان فنحن قوم نشرب الدم وعلمنا أنه لا دم أطيب من دم يهود.
Hamas is merely one local chapter in the global network of radical Islam. As such, it is less familiar to Israel's Western allies in the struggle against terror. While its profile may be lower, it remains a fundamental element in the web of extremist organizations that continue to plague the world with barbaric acts of premeditated violence.
وكأنهم يقولون للعدو الصهيوني إننا نحرص على الموت كما تحرصون على الحياة.
The fanaticism that kills children, women, and men in New York, London, Madrid, Washington, and other cities around the world is the same fanaticism that kills people in Sderot, Ashkelon, Ashdod, and other Israeli cities and towns. Eradicating the threat to any state's right to live in security must be the shared responsibility of all those who fall victim to the vile attacks on humanity perpetrated by members of the terrorist brotherhood.